Welcome to Creative Questions, the podcast where we attempt to review various creative projects we ourselves are part of, and or other people's unique creations in an attempt to celebrate the creative inspiration in all of us. I am Desiree Silver, your host and owner of New Nerd Novelties and hashtag Own Your Weird Lifestyle brand.
And I'm your co-host, Liam Hewlett, back at it again after a rather arduous December.
Yeah, it was both good and bad. Thanks very much for being patient with us.
Yeah. Well, I've got all the time in the world. Until I finally kick it. But yeah, I'm not doing much else besides playing video games. Been doing an awful lot of that. I had some creative endeavors during the month of December, but mostly it's just been treating myself to video games.
Rest and relaxation is kind of what we expect December to be anyway, so we weren't really expecting to podcast much this month, so that's good. Unfortunately, we did have a death in the family at the beginning of the month, which seems to always happen either around Thanksgiving or Christmas, which yeah. I don't know why, but they had a celebration of life and I got to go, so there's that. Yeah. I did unfortunately fall outside the house and sprained my wrist in front of my poor cousin, who had to pick me up off the ground. Well, they offered. But yeah, I'm glad no one else, like a big group of people, didn't see me do it. My ankle just decided, nope, not having it. I tried to catch myself when you do those little baby steps, and then I just gave up. Yeah. I landed on one of my wrists before the other one, and of course I sprained it. I got it checked out by the dog. But I'm glad that my ankles were okay, because I have fractured a foot bone, and I've actually sprained ankles before, but that was not the ankle that decided to give out, so
well, it's the same. Good. I've had a broken knee before, and that's never the one that gives out. It's always the other one that hurts.
I think it's because they overcompensate for so long, because my other wrist really freaking hurts right now.
Yeah, quite possibly.
It could be, yeah. I'm just glad it wasn't the one that, because apparently once you sprain it, you can sprain it really easily again, so yeah. Yeah, I'm just grateful for that. And it didn't hurt all that much, but it swelled up quite a bit.
Yeah, well, muscle sprains, generally, it's the few days afterwards. Though it's been a little while since then, since you sprained your wrist. You've also gotten a lot of snow. Like, that was one of the things that caused you to slip, right?
It wasn't snowing then, of course. It was just raining. But it doesn't matter. That's not what caused it. It was my own ankle. I could have done that in the summer. It's my own fault. I wore tiny little baby heels that are Dr. Scholl's, and it's supposedly comfortable. And I'm used to wearing sky-high heels. But it's been how many years since the pandemic? When have I worn a heel? And I went to someone's house, and I was like, well, I'm expecting him at someone's house. We should take our shoes off. They have hardwood, so we didn't. So I wore heels for hours. Oh. And an hour away from my house, I'm not surprised my ankle just went, nope. That's it. I've had it. Officially. Learn my lesson. Don't do that. Or at least bring flats.
Yeah.
It's always the answer. When you have heels, bring flats. I don't care if they're Dr. Scholl's or Crocs with a heel on the back of them, which I would never wear. That's just
good advice. I think that especially all cosplayers definitely adhere to that. No matter what your costume is, always have a change of shoes. You never know how long you're going to be out and about, and you're
exactly, or how your body's
going
to react, or whatever.
Yeah, and if it's an integral part of your costume, you gotta bring a spare set.
And I just bought, I saw on sale at Party City, these, little shoes that go in a little bag. I bought one for me and one for Mom because they were, $5. Didn't bring it, because when am I going to use these? I never leave the house. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that was my beginning of December. I'm glad I bought most of you guys and made most of you guys as Christmas presents before then, but I really want to pack and stuff. You can't really do that if you can't lift things, so I mostly just crafted and sat.
Yeah.
And then the snow came, and in Vancouver, when it snows, nothing works. Nothing.
Yeah, the city doesn't know how to operate when snow falls.
public transit doesn't work. There are barely any snowplows or salters. My cul-de-sac's an ice skating rink. And yeah, I can't even order food or groceries, so I have to carry them in a block in the ice, try not to die again. Yeah. I'm not...
Uphill both ways.
Well, yeah, because the cul-de-sac's kind of a bowl. That's why it turns into an ice rink. That's why I'm looking forward to moving in with you guys, but man, I hear it's really negative. Really negative.
It's very cold, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it was negative 27 degrees Celsius the
It
other
hasn't
day.
done that since I moved.
Yeah, it was cold enough that the car wouldn't start. We had to plug in the block heater, and I had to start it during my shift at work, so it would start by the end of my shift at work.
Yeah, that's what Mom said. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cold. It still is cold, but not as cold as it has been over the last few days. And we've gotten more snow. It's been snowing consistently over the entire week of Christmas. It snowed pretty much every day.
It snowed on Christmas here, which never happens. You know that. Never the day of.
Never in Vancouver.
And it was a good Christmas snow. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of little kids that were super happy.
That's good. When it does snow in Vancouver, it's usually good for making snowballs and snowmen because it's usually wet snow.
Very
Up
wet,
here,
yeah.
it just gets so cold it turns to powder.
And then that's why half your house has got snow and the other half doesn't because of the wind.
The wind, yeah, especially where we live. It's a funnel valley, so it's
So
very
Dory
windy
was
up.
brushing off the car because I had to go buy him cigarettes on Christmas Day. Of course I did. And it was powder, so it started like just raining all over me because the wind was blowing my way and I'm just covered in it. I look at him, he's like, good thing you have a good jacket. Thanks. But
A
I
good
survived.
thing.
Yeah. We survived, and there's a picture there actually for Christmas. Dory bought me snowshoes. I asked for a good pair of snowshoes, and that's what those purple boots are.
Snow boots, not
Yeah.
snow shoes.
No, boots. They're snow boots because they got really good grip. And
Yeah,
they're
because snowshoes are a different thing. They're the tennis
yeah.
rackets that you put onto your feet, right?
Yeah, not those. No, snow boots. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're boots with good grip, and they're vinyl, so they're waterproof. And they ain't got no holes. You know how some have holes for air,
They look
which
nice.
makes no sense. They're even better than the picture because you can't really tell. But when Dory opened it, because he checked them, because he ordered them online, he's like, "Ooh, you're really gonna like these." Puts them back in the box and wraps it because they're sparkle vinyl, so they're like kind of metallic and sparkly. He's like, the pictures don't do them justice. And it wasn't my first choice, so I was pretty happy with that.
That's cool. You're gonna need those. You need good grip when you're coming up here, because if you think it's icy down there, that's the one thing. We don't get wet snow. We just get compacted ice.
Yeah, because you drive over it, and then it gets icy. But at least they do plow in saltier areas, in different areas. Yeah, so,
pretty consistently. They're not always able to keep up, but they do.
Yeah, no, these, I tested them on our ice rink. They're pretty good, so I'm pretty happy. And
So
then,
that was one of your Christmas presents, was
yep,
it?
that was from Dory. And then you guys, in case you didn't know, you bought me the heat press, which is the other picture
I
there.
did. Yeah, I contributed in that
Yes, you
I
did.
approved of this transaction.
And it comes with more than one piece. The only piece I have there is the one for like shirts and vinyl and stuff, the flat one. But then it comes with other pieces. I can do baseball hats. And plates and mugs too.
Cool.
So I'm not as interested in the plates and hats, but the mugs are a big deal. So I tested out the mugs and I tested out the flat one, and then they do work, just in case. They smell like, burning rubber, but that's, it's a heat press. That's normal. Everybody's like, ew, it stinks. I'm like, have you smelt vinyl? Have you smelt rubber? They stink. Especially when you heat them up. Of course they're going to stink. But that will help with, if I paint anything, you're supposed to heat seal it so that when you wash the shirt or whatever, it doesn't come out. So I can do t-shirts with my heat transfer vinyl with my silhouette, which cuts everything out, and then you just stick it down like a big sticker, and then you heat press it in. And you can also do that with the vinyl, so I can add like cool pictures and stuff to my vinyl projects, like purses and bags and wallets.
Sounds good.
That's exciting.
A useful tool.
Yes, very useful. I love it. Thank you very much. because it's the last piece of the puzzle for sublimation printer. You have the printer that prints the ink that will subliminate onto the items with the heat. So now Tila can print me off the printer that I helped her pay for, the images, and I can put them onto shirts and mugs and stuff too.
Nice.
That's exciting. I'm excited. So many things.
It does look like you've been quite busy crafting up a store during the time where you haven't been going outside.
Yeah, I haven't been able to go outside, and I finished most of you guys' presents, so your presents still aren't pictured yet because I want to surprise you with them. But some of Mom's and some other people's are here. So there's a pillow that I actually got commissioned for a couple months ago, but it was around October, and everybody knows I'm busy in October, so they were nice and they waited. So there's a jack face pillow, and I think this is my favorite pillow I've made so far. It's so cute. I used felt as an applique, and I also painted it. So I tested out the heat press on that new paint. The puff paint, you can't obviously put heat on puff paint, but I had some t-shirt paint, and I tested it out on that, and then I put the puff paint on top.
So the big jack face is felt?
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
the big jack face is
it's hard to tell in the picture, but I know the pillows that you make, it would definitely, like, I've got a Triforce in felt for my Zelda pillow.
Yeah. So the big jack face itself, the face is felt, and then the appliques are his eyes and his smile. And then I added paint on top. And then underneath is the stuff that's just paint. It's his necktie a bit, just pieces of it. And that's where I tested out the heat press, like the heat press on. So yeah, they really like it, but you know, they live in, I think, Langley, and we're here in Coquitlam, and there's snow in between, and I don't know when we're going to see each other, but it's sitting here on my desk waiting for him. And they're very excited about it, so that's cool. And I also have had a lot of requests for a more masculine, smaller size trifold or double fold type wallets. Because everybody's like, oh, what if I want something plain? So that's what those next pictures are. It's the jack faces are a trifold wallet that I just bought the pattern for. And I immediately altered it because it was simpler than some of my other patterns. Didn't even have lining. So it opens up to do the kind of normal double fold, but then folds upwards for the trifold. And Dory decided that he's like, you know, you should put a clear window there because everybody has ID or a bus pass or, you know, your vaccination status card or whatever to stick in that window. So I immediately added a window because that just makes sense to me. He's like, why would you have that fold there if you don't have it so you can display something? I'm like, well, that makes sense. And then I added backing, and I made, because it has a pocket for dollar bills, I made the front of that a little lower than the back so you can get into it and see it easier. And I may be adding snaps depending on which type of wallet I make. I got a bunch of scraps of leather from the horse barn over by you guys, and that's where you can see the little trifolds that are snapped together with the clips.
Yeah.
Most of those are partial, if not full, leather, not vinyl.
Nice.
And I don't usually work with leather, so that's kind of nice. It smells really good. Why do we like the smell of leather so much? I don't know as humans, but it smells good. That blue one and the metallic, like, cheetah print, that's actually leather, so I don't have to line those, which is kind of nice. But some of the ones with vinyl, because they're so stiff, they won't sit closed, so I may have to put snaps. And so that's another addition. And one of them I made with the fuck you, you fucking fuck fabric, which I love. And so I actually have, it's really hard because you have to, what they call is fussy cut the fabric so you have the image in the right places. So I got all these like random scraps with random fucks on them. So I might make a snap tab that just says fuck on it. Because I can. It'll go into the not safe for work or mature content section. Don't worry, I'm not putting it in the kids section because there isn't a kids section. But yeah, I think those trifolds will work out well. So I did my usual number of, apparently my magic number for making things in a bulk like set is 7. I don't know why,
7?
but I usually go, I've got some ideas, and then I start doing them, and then I wind up stopping at 7. So
it's a half baker's dozen.
I guess I like the number 7. I like the number 3, and I like the number 7.
A baker's half dozen. You go for half a dozen, then you make one extra.
That's right. So those are the guys I'm currently working on. They're in various stages.
What's the little hat or thing that you've got going on with the bat symbol?
Okay, that's a bag actually. That's one of my
it's a utility belt?
Yeah, it's a dumpling bag that I put the bat symbol on, and then I made little pouch pockets in the front, and they actually snap closed, and you can put little things in them. And the back of them is that Batman fabric, if you see the other side. And he actually has a Batman symbol zipper too. And that was actually for Mark, my friend Nikki's boyfriend, because he has an ostomy bag from his Crohn's, and he has to carry supplies for it. So I made him a bag to put his supplies in. Just like me, I used to have a zombie head lunchbox to bring my girl feminine products or whatever else to me at the bathroom. So he'll always have a bag to go to the bathroom with.
Nice.
And so I made him his own emergency bat bag. Utility bat bag.
Yeah, it's where he can carry his shark repellent bat spray.
Yep.
Yeah.
It might be equivalent in there. He's probably got, I've seen people have the adhesive remover spray, so he might have that in there. I put wet wipes and gum and Tums and all kinds of stuff in it.
Things you don't want to get mixed up.
No.
What's this ornament that you have here? It's an it ornament?
Yes, I did. I've done quite a few. A couple horror and a couple cute. I did bump some raccoon ones, but there's a Coraline there and then an it there. The pictures that I took. I took styrofoam balls. Everybody loves styrofoam, except this is the white shit, which no one likes.
As long as you're not cutting it, it's all fine.
I had to cut it a little bit because what you do is you make those lines to make the 6 parts, and then you slice it a little bit, and what you do is you tuck the fabric in.
Oh,
so
okay.
you add a little bit of batting, which gives it a little bit of 3Dness with glue, and they tuck the ends in, and then you just decorate it. So it's all fabric, and then it's like ribbon or whatever else you want to put in it. So I thought those were really cute. They were something really easy to do that wasn't too hard on my wrist. So I enjoyed those. I made Nightmare Before Christmas, Beetlejuice, raccoons, it, Coraline.
They're pretty cool, yeah.
And I don't have a picture there, but I added some fake blood to the it ones because I have red glue gun glue, which actually is used for web spinning. So whenever I use this one glue gun that's just dedicated for fake blood, and it's basically just glue gun glue that drips onto stuff to looks like blood. It's perfect. I love it. Everybody thought it was so much cooler than just a plain one. I had a couple people come over actually this Christmas. I had Nikki and her boyfriend, which is great because Nikki's in Ontario, so that was really nice of her to come over. And then Tila and her boyfriend came over, and I made fettuccine Alfredo, which was like 34-year-old Parmesan cheese that killed us all, but it tasted so good. And then I made Nikki the Coraline bag there too, because there's a dumpling bag with Coraline. I do like that fabric. It's pretty darn cute.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah. And then I got pictures of my mini Claudias. So I made that big version of the wallet for Mom that kind of looks like a sub sandwich because there's so much in it that's shaped like a coffin. Well, they just came out with a new version, which is the mini version. So this one's only got 4 little card slots, and I've made a bunch of those. I think there's more than 7 of those. Oh no, I think I stopped myself at 7.
You only have really small pockets?
Yeah, really small pockets. So it's got pockets for coins. It's got the zipper for coins. It's got the things for cash or receipts, and then it's got 4 little slits for cards, which you can fit more than one in. They're not finished yet because I haven't edge painted them, so I haven't finished the clips, but they're really cute because there's the one pattern there. If you look, there's a couple patterns actually from this one person who makes patterns in Victoria. Her name is Brittlicious Designs, so she's Brittany, and she made the cool pastel coffins and the kaleidoscope coffins and the skulls with roses, and those are all like the right size to make the front cut out to shape like a coffin, and I thought that was really cute.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm experimenting with those.
Dad and I did attempt to make some stocking stuffers for Mom. Mom always is the lightest on the stocking stuffers because she is the one that enjoys shopping. whereas none of us, the rest of us in the family, do. So we kind of get what we feel is necessary for each other, and stocking stuffers often fall by the wayside when it comes to
Well,
Christmas.
they're left to me, and I wasn't there, so I have
Yeah.
those balls, but whatever.
Yeah, you also enjoy shopping,
Yeah.
whereas we do not.
No.
But we did make an attempt. So what we did is we took some of Mom's knickknacks and we attempted to encase them in resin to create sort of a terrarium, right? Like in a solid block of resin. And we just, both of us, Dad has some experience with resin, but he's used it to finish tables, right? To give it like a permanent varnish, basically. And that works fine when you're doing thin coats. And we just didn't have the proper experience for doing what we were trying to do. So our first attempt didn't work out basically at all. It was just too cloudy. The object that we wanted to put into the thing floated, and
Yeah,
so
it'll do that.
like,
Yeah.
we tried to set it all at once, and the object floated to the top, and it was way too cloudy. You couldn't see anything. So that was a bust, the first one. Mark II worked out a little bit more in that we made multiple layers. We did 2 layers. Like first we did the first layer, and then added in the objects so that they would be in the center of the resin, and then we sealed it in with a second coat. The problem is that we were just following the instructions on the bottle too much. It said on the bottle that you should stir it for 5 minutes, which for the amount that we were doing was way too much. It added in way too much air to the mixture, and so there was just like bubbles we could not get out no matter how hard we tried to make it a little bit more clear. So for that second one, he and I spent like an hour or two, maybe more, trying to sand down and buff up and polish what we could to get the items inside to be visible. And we did get to there at some point. It was certainly like the smoothest resin you've ever touched. It was basically like glass or mirror. But it still was too filled with impurities, mostly air bubbles, to really be able to see what was in it. Dad himself put together a third one, and he did multiple layers, and this time he mixed it for only as much as he thought would be required in order to actually mix the 2-part resin. And that one turned out significantly better. It was, you're able to see it, and he didn't have to go through all of the rigmarole that we did of like, we were putting it through the planer, we were sanding it from like 5 to 6 different grits of sandpaper, we buffed it with all different kinds of like washes, materials, wet, dry, and eventually we got something that we could show for it, but it could have been better. Things where if this had been our 5th or 6th or 7th time doing it, we probably would have gotten it down pat.
It depends on the type of resin. What were you guys using for a mold, too?
Well, the mold wasn't really the issue. It was just our inexperience with the product. We never had a problem removing it from the mold. That wasn't an issue.
Okay. Because each one's different. Like, some resins are meant to be like tabletops, and some are supposed to be thicker. And yeah, the difference is huge. I'm still learning all this stuff, too. Because I've already worked with 3 different types, and even Michael's carries it now. Of course, when I started, they didn't have it. I'm totally the hipster. Because me and Mom always seem to be ahead of the curve for what's cool. It's like after we're done doing it, a year later, everybody's like, woo, let's do this. And I'm like, I already tried that. Now you have 10 more varieties I'm going to have to learn. God damn it.
I bought this when it was rare, and now it's everywhere.
Exactly. But hey, I still like resin, so I'm going to go back to it. Tila went out with Nikki and I because Nikki's mom in Ontario works for Michael's 2 days a week. She gets a 30% off everything card, just about. We're all like, woo! Michael's run! Yeah, we went and she bought a whole bunch of resin because they have resin there now and stuff like that she needs for her business. So, and I bought some like heat transfer vinyl for my Cricut, which is actually a silhouette. I always call it a Cricut, but they're the same thing. They basically just, they cut or they emboss things or you can put pens in them too, and they can draw things. But they're the same product. It's just the Silhouette is a little bit more easy software-wise. It's kind of like Android compared to iPhone. Cricut's the iPhone. It's closed when it comes to certain things it likes to open and how to fix things when it comes to its processes and its applications. Whereas Silhouette's more like Android. It takes different things a lot better. So I like my Silhouette because, of course. I always want the jailbreaked one. I also joined their, because they have a group like for Design Studio, which you pay a per month amount and they give you a certain number of credits and you can go into their store and buy a whole bunch of images. So there are different things you can cut that other people have made and put up on the site. So for $14.99 I get $40 worth of credit, and then I go in there and I buy things for like $2. You get like an image of, bats flying out of lips and stuff for $3. So
that's cool.
Every month that's like Christmas, because I'm like, oh, download that. For the price, it's not too bad.
I'm terrible about subscription services. The instant I find that I've stopped using it, I have to cancel it. Otherwise, I won't remember, and I'll be 8 months down the road, and I'll be like, "Oh right, I need to get rid of that." I've had subscriptions I haven't used in like 2 years, and I was like, "All right, no. I just need to stop it. Just stop it."
Oh,
right?
No.
So that's in the past. I've definitely gotten to the point. Like I recognize now. Once if it's been like 2 or 3 days since I've used a subscription service, I'll cancel it because I'll forget in the future and it'll just auto renew forever, right? That's how fitness places get you, right?
That is, yeah.
Because they all require memberships and there's so many hoops that you have to jump through to get them to stop it. But I knew the last time, like when I got a gym membership, I specifically went for the more expensive option that allowed you to cancel at any time. Like it was a set fee every month, but you could pay for, like you could basically sign a contract that you'll do longer for less per month. And I was like, no, I'm paying exactly this amount per month and I'll stop it when I goddamn feel like it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm going to have to do when we move. I have to go through all of our subscription services and decide what I need, what we don't need. Tila, because she has Plex, and I think she said 5 terabytes of stuff on there. Like, she's got everything that you want, and if she doesn't have it, she'll get it for you. And it's free, so probably not going to have Netflix anymore. Only going to have Prime because I like the free shipping. Mm-hmm. And then Dory wants to keep Disney Plus because, stuff is kind of exclusive to that. I'm like, okay.
I mean, if it was just me in the house, I wouldn't have basically any subscription services. But mom and dad, they use Netflix all the time, right? I have watched a single show in the last, I think, 5 years. And it was within the last month because everybody
Christmas?
Kept recommending to me that I should watch Arcane, which is a show that's like it's a recent show based off of League of Legends, which is a game I've played. It's a game many people have played, and everybody has always been talking about how exceptional the show was, and it was good. It was quite good, and it was like I was in between games one night and spent like 5 hours just watched it straight through. But that's literally the only show I've watched in the last 5 years.
Was that one season? One season?
Yeah, just one season. They've confirmed they're getting more seasons, but that's stuff's in the future. It's not out yet.
You watched something. Good for you.
I watched something, yeah. Rare as it is. I mean, I used to watch anime all the time. I haven't watched an anime in God knows how long because I just read it now. Ever since I started reading manga, I've stopped watching anime because most anime comes from manga, and generally it's behind the manga source material. So while the animation might be good, it'll be a scene I've already seen. So if I'm interested in a show or a story, I'll just read it. Especially because of how fast I read, I can just read it way faster than I could ever watch a series.
Well, technically manga is comics, so like comics you can blow through real quick. So
super fast. Oh yeah, real fast.
I have to stop myself because I want to look at the graphics, the pictures. There's a reason why they made them. They're art. But
I
yeah,
know, yeah. I'm pretty bad at that, especially if it's like a chapter that's all action. I'm like, cool, 20 seconds done, right? It's just like
I should go back and read that again to look at the
yeah,
pictures.
just like
Yeah.
yeah, I should go appreciate the art. Yeah, I got time
Yeah.
later, and I just never do. Right?
Oh, and these poor cartoonists.
I don't.
These
They
comic
they
book guys.
pour decades of their life into their art form, right? And the a double page spread could easily take them and their team, because especially at manga, they're not doing it by themselves, right? They're doing it. They have to do it as a team, because they're most of the time their publication schedule is on a weekly basis, which is absurd.
It
Like
is absurd.
they actually kill themselves with their work schedule, but the fact that they can do it even with a team is astounding, especially to the level of quality that they do consistently. And I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. You know,
Like,
I'm looking forward to next week. Right? Yeah, I'm one of those unappreciative assholes where it's just like, man, that was awesome. I really appreciate the writing and like the character work and stuff like that goes into good manga. And the art as well too can definitely sell it, but it's not something that I hover on. I've definitely have read some series that just have bad art, right? But they're really interesting, cool concepts, or like they've got a funny premise or whatever it might be. And then there are some that are like, art here is amazing. I'm pretty much only here for the art because the rest of it is complete dog shit. But I'll go through that chapter a lot faster than I will the one that I appreciate the writing of, right? It's just like, oh man, that's pretty. There's nothing else here worth of substance, because like a really good manga gets you thinking about it after you've read it, right? It's like any good story or novel, right? What the mangas and the stories and the novels that I really do like and appreciate are the ones that get you thinking about them afterwards, especially if they have a really interesting premise or they present to you an interesting question, something that can give you really like food for thought. Those are my favorite kinds of series. I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And that's true of TV shows and movies and stuff like that. I just find that they don't try as hard to give you that food for thought. It's rarer that it happens.
That's true.
Especially science fiction. I love to read science fiction, but I don't watch practically any of it, because I don't even play much in the way of science fiction video games either, because I find science fiction in those mediums to be very limited in its scope. It's just very much fantasy with a future veneer in my regard. Like a lot of those worlds, especially when it comes to TV or movies even more so, because they have limited runtimes, there's only so much they can do. They just don't feel very well thought out.
That
right?
and limited budget as well.
Yeah, that can also definitely limit. I mean, even with unlimited budget, stuff like the modern Star Treks and stuff like that, none of that is food for thought. Like it doesn't provide me with any interesting ideas. It doesn't like extrapolate anything to me that would like get me wanting to create something in that space or extrapolate upon that space or anything like that. So it could be a really big budget science fiction movie, and unless it's just never going to be as thought-provoking to me as reading a science fiction novel.
They also because they have the ability to create their own complete universe, I guess, not world.
Mm-hmm.
Worlds.
Well, they can put a lot more science into their fiction when you have a novel, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to take time out of a movie, and you shouldn't take time out of the runtime of a movie to describe how your like faster than light drive system works, right? It's unless it's relevant to the plot, that's not it would even then it would be difficult to get like a technical description, even if it is something that would be the entire basis upon how your universe works, right? It's I just prefer to read science fiction rather than watch it or play it in a video game. I just find that they don't really put the time into the world building that I feel is necessary to draw me into science fiction. Whereas I don't expect that for fantasy, right? When you do fantasy, magic is magic. That's cool. As long as your rules for your magic system are consistent, I don't need anything to be explained or to be logic to me, right? It just has to be consistent. So long as like your rules for magic in your system are like laws of equivalent exchange, where it's like the more powerful the spell, the more cost associated with it. That's all I need for like a magic system. That's totally fine by me. But in the same vein, science fiction, I'm just like, okay, you made a weapon that can destroy planets. How are you the only person that's able to make that? Why is this not running around all over the place? That's sort of like, I want more details, right? I want it to be logicked out. Whereas in fantasy, it could just be like, this is the ultimate mega sword, right? Why? Because it was created that way. You're just like, okay, sure, right?
I godlike powers years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be logicked out to me nearly as much as when it comes to science fiction, right?
Yeah, that's fair, because it's supposed to have a basis in fact.
Yeah, it's supposed to be science fiction, not, fantasy. Whereas stuff like Star Wars has always been more of a space fantasy to me than anything else.
It is. It's
right?
a science fantasy.
And that's fine with me. Like, it's a very, like, science loose word, right? It's to me, it's a space fantasy, and that's fine. It's just like, it's better that the Force be magic. Let it be magic. When you try to explain it, it seems dumb. Just make it magic.
No midi-chlorians.
Yeah. Yeah, just make it magic. It's fine. You got space wizards. They just call themselves Jedi, right? It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope,
and you can enjoy that, but it's not science fiction, right? It's certainly not science fiction to me, anyway.
And that's fine. I agree, though. I do like watching shows with science fiction and fantasy simply because of outfits and production. I like seeing the prettiness. The pretty. I like the pretty.
But you can get that from period pieces as well, right?
Yes, as well. I can watch period pieces, but they annoy me with the story. I don't care about Pride and Prejudice. I just want to see the pretty outfits.
Yeah, my problem with most historical fiction, not generally how it's written, but how it's portrayed in like movies and especially TV shows, is they go too like dark with it, right? I like comedy, I like action. I like romance too, right? Those are my like three main genres, and very few period pieces are made in any of those genres, right?
No.
Like, how many action comedies or like comedic romances, or how many of those are period pieces? They're all dramas. Like, every single one of them is a drama. That's my least favorite genre. I hate drama. It's got enough real world shit to deal with. I want comedy.
So talking about weird combinations for like movie types, Dory and I have been on this kick, though we've watched some Blumhouse creations with the same director, and they did 3 movies we really like. They're supposed to be horror movies, but they're horror comedies. And you know me, I don't like straight horror, gross kind of crap. We like the comedies, like Cabin in the Woods and Ducker and Tail. Well,
Shaun of the Dead for me.
Shaun of the Dead. These 3 you'll probably like too, and you could always watch them with us at some point. So the first one's called Freaky, and it's like Freaky Friday, but instead of, the mom and the daughter changing over, it's the serial killer and the 16-year-old girl. Switch bodies. And the serial killer is Vince Vaughn.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, he's got a serial killer face.
And he's 6'4", right? And he changes places with a 16-year-old girl who's like 5'4". And they both do such an awesome job. It's hilarious. I love it. It's great. So we keep introducing people to that. It's on Crave, but I'm sure you can find it on the internet somewhere. So that's the same director does these other 2 movies, and that's Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day 2. And that's basically Groundhog's Day with serial killer.
Yes, so I saw ads for that.
Oh yeah, me too.
I had never heard of the first one. I saw ads for the second one, and I was like, oh, well, that looks like my cup of tea. Because you add comedy to basically any genre, and I'd probably be interested in it, so long as it's, at least half well done.
And neither of
them,
it did
seem interesting to me.
None of them are actually really gross either. It's more B-rated comedy horror like I like. Yeah, the 1 and 2 is hilarious. You don't need to see 1 to see 2. You don't need to see 2 to see 1. They do connect, but you don't need to. And that's also, again, like another blonde 16-year-old girl who keeps dying, and when she dies, the days reset. But she keeps being killed by the serial killer, and she doesn't know who it is. And so she's like trying to figure out who's killing her, before she dies again.
Nice.
And especially in the second one, she gets pissed off and she starts killing herself for shits and giggles in stupid ways just to reset the day.
Yeah,
Just like,
it's just, oh, well, this is a wash. Reset button. It's just my
Yeah.
reset button happens to be murdering myself.
after a while, though, obviously her body goes through a lot of trauma. But I'm like, especially like at one point, I guess her boyfriend breaks up with her or something, so she jumps out of a plane and lands on him and that kind of thing. It's just fun. Yeah, and I must respect the girls that both acted in those, because the one that acted in Freaky did a really good job of being a creepy serial killer at 5'4". Like, she did a good job. And Vince Vaughn being a little girl screaming and running around. Ew, I smell like hot dog water. He did a great job. And the girl in Happy Death Day, she's one of the mean girls. She wakes up in some other random dude's bed after an all-nighter of drink binging, not even knowing where she is. And that's where she starts the day every day. So it's pretty good.
Talking about those like switching of personalities, that was one of the things it's one of the tropes that I like. I like it when actors get to do stuff like that, like the first Jumanji movie.
Yeah.
With Jack
Rock.
Black being in that same situation, right? Jack Black is
Yeah.
the popular girl, and
The
The
Rock
Rock is the
being
nerd.
the nerdy boy, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I still think that, in my opinion, Jumanji is, as of yet, the best video game movie that's been made. Despite the fact that it wasn't made based off of a video game,
Originally,
it definitely... Yeah, I mean, they probably made a Jumanji video game afterwards, but it wasn't based off of a Jumanji video game. It was obviously based off of the Robin Williams Jumanji. But it was still taken as its own movie. It was the best adaptation of a video game that I've seen to a blockbuster movie. They had a whole bunch of video game tropes that were really well spoofed in that movie. It was a pretty funny movie.
And it was comedy, yeah. Dory
Yeah,
and I
it was a comedy.
recently, we watched Mortal Kombat and then, Street Fighter. We watched Street Fighter.
Oh,
And
man, that's a bad movie.
The guy who plays Gomez Addams from the Addams Family is the bad guy in that. And I always
that was-
forget.
That was the last movie he ever did.
Yeah, he had cancer at the time.
Yeah, he
And
was
you
actually
could
dying
really
of cancer
tell.
while he was shooting that movie.
Yeah, while he
that's
was
why
shooting
they
that
put
movie.
that's why they put him in the muscle suit. It's because he was like skin and bones. But
He
apparently
was.
he did that movie because his son was a big fan of Street Fighter.
Yeah, because his kids, he wanted to do something his kids would like to see him in. So yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty awesome. Apparently Van Damme was so high on coke they had a really hard time wrangling him for that movie.
Yeah, I've seen a documentary about the production woes of that movie, and it's just amazing that it got made at all. It's
At all.
basically the Super Mario Brothers except for Street Fighter.
I still really like the Super Mario's movie, though. I do.
It's a terrible movie, and that the production woes of that, like, it's amazing it came out at all, and it was apparently just a horrible time for everybody involved.
The Super Mario's as well?
The Super Mario Brothers movie,
Oh,
yeah, the
yeah?
Mario Brothers movie. Yeah, inexperienced directors and a really hostile work environment, apparently. But for Street Fighter, it was just like the rampant incompetence that wound up making a movie.
But
And
honestly,
it is glorious.
Everything that what's his name is, I can't remember his name, that did Gomez. He did such a good job. Every scene that he was in, he did. So
Oh yeah,
well.
yeah. He's
Especially like
he's
so much
a great
passion
actor.
and so much
And-
action and
Yeah,
Oh.
he's had some very good quotes in that movie too. Much like, because like, you talk about Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat before Jumanji was my go-to of like, this is the best video game movie, and it was an actual adaptation, but this is like the best video game movie because it knows it's bad and it leans into it. Like it's camp, right? That's what Mortal Kombat is. The second
Yep.
one is just complete dog shit.
yeah,
But
I don't
the
disagree
first-
there.
The first one was like, yeah, we're gonna make a bad movie, and it's gonna be like a bad kung fu movie, just like Mortal Kombat is kind of a bad fighting game, honestly. And yeah, still to this day, I think Mortal Kombat's a great fighting game movie, like just a great gaming movie, because it's bad and it knows it's bad. The-
we like the soundtracks. That's all.
That's the thing. My favorite soundtrack of all time for movies, anyway, comes from Mortal Kombat 2. Right, Mortal Kombat 2
Yeah.
Annihilation. They blew their entire budget on the soundtrack, and then what the fuck happened to the movie? I don't know. It was an excuse to get all these artists together. They had Rammstein on that CD.
Oh yeah, I know. KMFD.
KMFDM. Yeah,
we love them.
it's ridiculous.
I actually recently, yesterday, went through my CDs because we're packing slowly, and I took the CDs out of the cases and I'm putting them back into like a folder again so that it takes up less space. And I'm like, oh look, it's almost all movie soundtracks: A Knight's Tale.
I had
Mortal
3
Kombat.
CDs. I had 3 CDs while I was delivering papers with my Discman as a kid. And those
Mortal
3
Kombat
CDs that I listened to constantly, Mortal Kombat 2, which is
Yeah.
like the main one, Knight's Tale, and Shrek.
Yeah, Mom still got Shrek. It's probably dead. She'll be quite happy though, because Dory and I went through our CDs, and I found a couple more mixed CDs from BearShare and Napster time when we downloaded individual songs. Remember that, Sonny? And we found some mixed CDs, and 2 of them say Halloween. So I think Mom's going to be pretty happy. And
Nice.
she freaking loves those Halloween mixes I made for her at that time.
Yeah, ages ago.
And I found 2 more. And then we found a whole bunch that are like completely blank and they don't say anything on them. We're all like, ooh, we gotta play Russian roulette. We got to Mom's house, so the 5 CD changer, put 5 of the blank CDs that we burnt in there and see what comes out.
3 of them are just like episodes of something downloaded to a disc.
Well, I'm hoping they're music. I'm not sure though. I had to throw out, some of the other like ripped movies and stuff. So like, screw that. Who cares? So I've got like, can you
Nowadays, you
recycle
probably can't even like plug them into a computer and have it recognize the code.
I don't know. Dory's computers don't even have disk drives. Mine does.
Mine
'cause
doesn't.
It's old.
Yeah.
Mine does.
I don't even have a disk drive.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what can play on our PlayStations and stuff because they're new. But they do have disk drives. We made sure of that. Yeah, Dory got the new PlayStation 4 because the last one sounded like a jet engine when it was on, because it was the first version and it runs really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so noisy it would give me a migraine. This one, I can't even hear it when it's on. I'm like, oh, thank God.
So he got himself a PlayStation Pro or something like that?
Yeah, I think he got the 4 Pro or the 4 regular, but it's quiet, really quiet. It's not the 5.
The 5 is apparently still very difficult to find.
Yeah, so he didn't get that yet. Teely got us the Roku, which is like the app you plug into your TV to make it a smart TV, because our TV isn't smart. It's just a regular TV.
It's a dumbass TV.
I know, it's so dumb. No. To make it smart, and so I got like all of my streaming services on here and YouTube and stuff. And Dory was just doing AirPlay from his Mac computer he just bought. And we're like, ooh, it's so fast. Even faster than the PlayStation playing our Plex and stuff. So we're pretty happy with that. We're probably going to let Mom and Dad have that one upstairs if we can connect it to Dad's ears so he can listen to Plex finally. Because
Nice.
Plex has everything. Literally everything. Like, he wants his home improvement? Tila's got it. You want music? Tila's got thousands of songs. So, there's everything.
Yeah.
Because we were buying
I'm
smart
sure they'll
TV
find
originally.
something. Mom and Dad spend a lot of time watching stuff like Antique Road shows or cooking shows. Especially Dad likes his cooking shows.
Yeah, there's lots of types. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because, and when we get a smart TV, I'll let them have that one upstairs because theirs is gonna die. But it's pretty awesome. I'm like looking
Smart
at the
TVs
controller.
are remarkably affordable nowadays. I had my TV that I use as a modder die on me like a year ago or whatever, and I replaced it with a larger model for like $300, something like that.
Yeah,
And
so-
I don't
so
use
cheap
any of the
compared.
features, but it could do that. Like it could browse streaming services and stuff like that if I wanted to. I just don't use it for that.
Yeah.
That with tax it was probably about $400. That still replaced a exactly $2,000 1080p 37-inch TV that I bought when there was still the choice between LCD and plasma. Like, that was how early it was that I got this giant HD TV.
And it's not even that giant because you got a bigger one, right?
No, it's certainly, like, at the time it was large. There were bigger ones that I could have gotten, but it was the largest one I could get at 1080p for my budget. It was exactly $2,000 with tax and a cable, because that's the max I could withdraw from my debit card at the time, and I had to call ahead to let them do that.
Oh,
right?
yeah, you do, yeah.
So yeah, I called ahead to approve the purchase, went into the store, basically got them to make the transaction exactly that amount, because otherwise I wasn't buying it. But I was given the choice of getting a larger TV and having it not be 1080. It would have been like 720 or something like that. And I'm glad I did get the 1080,
yeah.
because, like, we didn't know back then, but I had done like a preliminary research, and that 1080p, like, that thing lasted me for almost a decade. Actually, probably more than a decade. And yeah, having replaced it like a year or two ago, when I got that thing when I was like 17, definitely more than a decade then. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got a much larger, much thinner TV for not even a fifth of the cost, and it's got all these other additional features that I'll never use. You can get yourself for what would have been the price of a monitor, right? Because I would have, if you wanted to get a monitor for a PC back then that was like a high definition monitor, easily you would have paid $300-400, and it would have just been,
Small,
one step up from a CRT.
Yeah. And it's
but-
been trying to change everything on Plex to 1080p, even like Murder, She Wrote. I'm like, I don't know why you're bothering to change Murder, She Wrote to 1080p, but
it will still be in a box. Right? Yeah.
But yeah.
Filmed during like the 70s.
Well,
70s and
apparently
80s.
it does, I guess, what is that called, I guess, condense
Upscale it?
Upscale it. It looks good. So she wants everything to be 1080p on there now. So it'll be like deluxe Plex. And Mom wants me to bring all of my DVDs over. So I'm like, okay, you can have them all. They all get to sit in your space.
Yeah, she uses them, right?
She
She
does.
likes to watch movies, even if she does
she'll
watch
use them
Love
when-
Actually once every 2 weeks.
Oh my god.
At most.
I saw
Doesn't
something
matter
on
what season.
I saw something on online that made me laugh really hard, and it said, watch Love Actually and then watch Die Hard so that you can watch him get his comeuppance right after. Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
How dare you cheat on me, die! I'm like, oh, I should tell Mom that one. She's got Die
Get
Hard.
dropped off a building.
No
Apparently,
one's-
they didn't let him know that they were going to be doing that.
Oh.
Like,
Ouch.
he knew that was a part of the scene. They just didn't know that he was, like, they were going to drop him. Nobody told him that because they wanted they wanted
Shocked expression.
They wanted a genuine reaction out of him, which they got because they didn't fucking know they were going to drop him.
That's horrible. They do that to actors a lot, though. I feel bad for them, especially in horror
Yeah.
movies. In horror movies, they don't tell them about shit. Poor Drew Barrymore. It's the screamer face one. Scream, I guess.
Scream,
The director actually said stuff so mean to her to make her cry on purpose. And then in Candyman, there's a point where an arm comes out of a mirror. They didn't tell the actress that was happening. So, like, she literally, like, screamed and ran. Like, ah!
Yeah. At that point, you're lucky someone doesn't just go, Jesus, fuck!
Yeah,
Right?
like, oh,
Completely
wait,
off
beep.
script.
The good thing with the horror movies, though, they're allowed to have that. They got the R rating, at least.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you do it in, like, a
Jesus,
non-rated R
fuck!
movie...
Slap the arm.
Yes, that would be me, yeah. Slap it! Boing, 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 this arm. Oh... Some, like, I think it was one of the Exorcist movies or something, they actually couldn't afford fake bodies, so they used real dead bodies in this swimming pool scene. I forget which movie that was. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's gotta be
Using
more expensive than fake bodies, right?
you,
Like,
you
were they extras that were just pretending, or what?
no, these are corpses, like skeletons. I'm like, what? There's got to be some law against that. Ah, not cool. Poor actress
Wait,
swimming in
we
this.
just we just had bodies available, and we didn't have the budget to not use them.
And we're just not going to tell her that she's going to be swimming in this pool that's basically. They tried to dig out a pool in the backyard, and it wasn't finished. And so it's like this rain scene in this mud puddle with dead bodies that she's swimming through. I'm like, ew! That's no! Not okay. Some horror movies I don't watch, that's for sure.
Now it's a little bit hard to feel too bad for actresses and actors considering how much they get paid for doing something like that. Not all of them, obviously, but definitely the high ticket ones, certainly.
Well, yeah, most horror movies you don't get paid enough for what you do, though. Especially if it's a B-rated one, they ain't get paid much.
Yeah, most actors and actresses, the 90% of them or more are definitely the starving variety, whereas the top 10%, it's much like athletes. Like, it's hard to feel bad for a professional athlete destroying their body for the amount that they're getting paid, but all of the people that don't make it to be professional athletes that destroy their bodies before they actually get there, it does kind of feel bad.
Man, and that works for like singers, dancers, actors. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow, looks like we're getting close to our time. Do you have anything else specific you want to talk about?
well, I guess I wanted to take a little bit of a look at 2021 just as a whole and what we thought of it. So, entertainment-wise, I think that's mostly what we've been talking about for the last year. Besides the one show that I watched and the many mangas that I've read, I've really appreciated a lot of the games that have come out this year. And I've played a lot of games that didn't come out this year. But I've played a lot of new stuff too. And some of the stuff I'll probably be playing for quite a long time afterwards. I've also been doing D&D now. This was I'm going on the second year here, and so this was a full year of playing D&D, and it's been a blast. I'm really looking forward to doing more of it.
More than just playing, being the dungeon master and writing so much too.
Yeah, it's definitely been it's been a great motivator to flesh out my world because I wouldn't touch it otherwise. So the majority of the stuff I've been doing for the last few weeks has been making a living city where there was none before, since the guys decided to go follow a thread into one area of investigation, brought them to a town that was at one point just a name on a map, and barely more than that.
You got a map there, so...
I do now. Yeah, that's something for the guys to reference when they go through their investigation in this town, and I've got, people that live here and actions that they've been taking and dealings that are going on. Huh? Yeah, this whole town, my concept behind it, it's called Port Refuge, or Refuge. It's basically Navy HQ. It's a fortress town that is the center of naval operations for my entire continent. So there are multiple different, basically marine battalions stationed here, as well as Central Naval HQ. So there are a lot of civilians in this area. It's the most protected port in the Union. So it's a distribution center as well for supplies and merchants and stuff like that all along the coast. But it's the center port for the Navy of the Union. And so they've come here looking for a trader, basically. Someone that is in my world's equivalent of the espionage covert agency has gone rogue, and they're trying to hunt them down. Find out why they may have turncoat or what exactly it is their motivations are and what they're doing. So they're hunting for a trader in a naval town. That's what they're going to be doing over the next several sessions, most likely.
So it looks very fortified, very built up, as in you built it from the ground up. It looks like a really good, like very organized and flourishing kind of port town, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like split it up into major points of interests and like districts, fleshed out like the few lines that I'd written about it in history. I gave it some more landmarks and, wrote some occupants and people, and we'll see what the guys experience while they're in this area. I wanted to put a little bit more effort into this one because I do think there'll be like a significant amount of investigation going on in this city. Whereas when they were in Asmaton, which is the capital of my dwarven Almian kingdom, they spent more time there than I had expected, and so I never actually made a map for Alm, but specifically for Asmaton, the capital, because it's according to my lore, a giant city that is basically in two mountains. And the second mountain that it's adjacent to is basically one giant necropolis. So they have like the living spire and their undead spire. The Almians in my setting, the dwarves, they've taken ancestor worship to such an extreme that they have revived their ancestors because
You've said that before. You've got the undead
very much they're
dwarven types. Yeah,
the whole concept of the Almians was like, okay, if dwarves worship their ancestors so much in a world where you could literally return things from the dead, then wouldn't they just do that, right? It's like, all right, you respect your grandfather so fucking much that you just bring him back from the dead because you have his remains and the means to do so. Why wouldn't you? Yeah. Right? And then if he didn't want to, you could ask him that after you res him, right? It's just like, oh, hey, Grandpa, you want to, stay on the mortal plane for a little bit longer? You can keep your position.
Okay.
Right? So that the Asmaton is very much reflective of their society in that the larger of the mountains is actually the Necropolis Mountain, and it's only reserved for the honored dead, whereas the living side is where production happens, right? Where it's much more divided in its like class structure. So the guys spent quite a bit of time in Asmaton, more, like I said, more so than I had expected. If I had known that they were going to spend multiple sessions in Asmaton, I probably would have made a map for it properly.
Do you think you could with this program, because it's supposed to be inside a mountain? I guess you just
I could.
Yeah,
I could for sure. Yeah, I've I've done it before. I think I've made a few dwarven holds. One of them for sure was in a mountain, and then a few others were in like craters and stuff like that. But I can do it for sure.
I really do like this program.
You do it like a cutout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
It is.
I like it because I almost want to like print these and put them in a book or something, or put them print this out and put it up if that's where you guys are on the wall, so you guys can look at it.
This one I'm going to print out since they most likely will be spending some time investigating this area. I'm going to print this one out, I'll laminate it, and they'll be able to quick reference it. Like, I have it on my site so that they can look at it on their phone, but it's better, especially for my group, for them to have something hands-on. If they can, like, feel it and, like, just move it around between themselves, it makes a big difference as opposed to having it available digitally. I've definitely found that, especially when I make like an activity for them. I try to make as much of it physical as possible for them to interact with. Like when I did them trying to prepare people for winter, or when they were trying to infiltrate Solar Colossus, like all that sort of stuff I gamified and made into a physical representation that they could like pore over and make their decisions. And I think the guys have appreciated those mini games that I've made in our campaign.
Much cooler, I think, than all digital. Well, at the same time, like when I'm moving, one of the things, Marie Kondo, the person that says, does this give you joy? That girl, you ever heard of her?
Mm-hmm.
She wrote I've heard. And she wrote a book about how to downsize. And one of the things she was saying is, you don't have to keep the sentimental item. Sometimes you can keep a picture of it, and that's an idea. Like digital pictures, or because I'm going through my photo albums. I've got like 5 giant photo albums and my like I Love Me certificates and stuff that I've earned, and trophies and whatever not. Do I really need those? Do I have space for those? No. Can I scan those and then deal with them? Yes. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So at the same time, it's like I don't mind having those digital because I don't look at them now physically.
Yeah.
If I'm playing a game or something, yeah, I would appreciate to have the reminder physically because I'm not going to remember it, right?
Hmm.
But, certain things can be both. It's kind of weird because I had this issue the other day. I was a little stressed out because, it's the end of the year. I haven't really packed that much. We're moving in 2 months. Dad's not quite ready with the suite. So I'm a little worried because I don't want to hurt myself again and then not be able to move and whatever else. And I was like, oh, when I make my website, because Tila's working on it right now, it's not going to be up by January, which is when I wanted it to, but it wasn't a hard date or anything. I just feel like I'm a little behind. But then I'm like, wait, it's a website. Tila, do I have to go live with everything at once? Because I've got like 10 different things I want to do with this website. She's like, no. We can do this, and that other thing we can be working on in the background, and it doesn't need to go live. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Because, we grew up with technology kind of nascent. So it doesn't automatically occur to me that I don't have to do everything all at once for a website or something like that, Technology doesn't mean it's all or nothing. Sometimes half-ass works out. You know what I mean?
And that's my website to a T.
Exactly.
I very slowly add stuff to it. There's a lot of stuff I would... Because for me, when my focus is on something, I put all of my time into that one thing, right? And it's difficult for me to keep D&D in my main focus because it requires other people, and it's over a period of time, 2 weeks generally. So if I have my stuff prepared, or what I think is adequate preparation for the next session, it's difficult for me to maintain focus on D&D to be like, okay, there's a bunch of other stuff that I can do for the website, right? I'll be like, all right, I'm good for the next session, on to my focus shifts, and I start playing a different game or whatever, right? And I'll be completely absorbed in whatever that focus is for that specific theme. So when I get the most work done on the website is when I have a real crunch, usually, of things I need to get done for D&D. So,
or a crunch when, right before these, we have pictures to have to go up or whatever,
Yeah, I was adjusting this map literally minutes before I uploaded it. I finished the map several days ago, but as I uploaded it, I was like, I added districts and I haven't, given them clear markers yet, so I just quickly did something for that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right, that sort of thing.
It looks great. I like it. It's very, in some ways, Tolkien-esque, in some ways C.S. Lewis. I like it. I like whatever the art style that they're using it's good.
And I am mixing and matching. They actually present you with multiple different options. So I could go a complete sketch style. I could go for a more realistic style. I just use what I feel is best for the thing that I'm trying to portray. Usually the larger the map, the more of the parchment style that I go for. But this program has a lot of similar shortcuts as well as user friendliness and tools that you get from Photoshop. So
nice.
When you and video editing software and stuff like that, there's a lot of common languages in that regard.
Yeah.
So when
it's
you
all coded, so
when you learn one of these programs, it really assists you a lot in using the other programs.
Which is another thing that I forget all the time too, because Photoshop has become so user friendly.
And so ubiquitous, right? The fact that you can, in this map image, for example, if I wanted to select the right half of all of the objects on my screen, so that would be all of the titles, the houses, the docks, and the stuff like that, I could literally click and drag a box over them and then copy, Control-C, Control-V, and mirror it if I wanted to literally just make exactly the left hand look like the right hand. I could do that and it would be super easy. There would be no issue whatsoever. Nice. If I wanted to make a copy of a building, I can literally just click on it and rotate it or mirror it, flip it, reverse it, change its size, shape, and then put it wherever I want. There's a lot of things that I use that are and this is something I learned from Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster is a game like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but a more modern version.
Oh, okay.
And the thing that Planet Coaster does is It's a secret tool for 3D modelers. Like, it's a secret training tool. It's like an
Yeah.
indoctrination to 3D modeling
Well, I
because
think the Roller Coaster Tycoon was too. It was just very basic, obviously, because it was
yeah,
so old.
it was more limited in
Yeah.
what you could do. Whereas in Planet Coaster, literally every single item, you take that item and then you can move it on a Z, like a Z, Y, and X axis, and you can
Right.
put it up, down, and through, rotate it into a terrain piece. So you can take a lamppost, for example, and you can put that lamppost down on the ground near a pathway, and like, all right, simple. That's the most like basic action that you could do. But then you're like, okay, now what if this lamppost? I really like the top of this lamppost. It's a really cool like, you know, lantern. What if I just take that lamppost and then move it into the ground so that the only thing that's showing is just that top part? And now it's like the height of a recycle bin, but it's giving off light. And so you don't see all of the other parts that are now below the ground. And that's the sort of thing that you do all the time in Photoshop,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you take something and then you have it on a different layer below or above something else, so it's only showing the part that you want to show, right? It's so applicable to so many different things.
For my cards, the second one, the Own Your Weird one, I wanted to have a brick background, and then I wanted like a rainbow kind of sunset color to my lettering,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a mask, which is technically only like a one click, and then
Mm-hmm.
layers, and I'm like, I remember when I learned Photoshop, it was not this easy.
Yeah.
That
Well,
makes me
and
so
that's
happy.
like taking these objects in Planet Coaster, it's a 3D space. In this program, the Incarnate, it's a 2D space, but still, like taking a bunch of objects and using them to make what you actually want to have look like what you want to show in the picture. It's very similar to what people do when they're filming movies, right? Everything within the frame of a movie is what they want you to see. Everything outside of that is not at all conducive to what's being shown in the frame. Like, and this is true of literally every movie set ever, because every movie uses some sort of microphone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if they zoom out just a little bit too far, you get a boom mic in the shot, right? And that completely destroys any kind of immersion that you have for your scene, because now there's just this fucking fuzzy mic hanging in front of somebody's face. But
It's
that's
true.
exactly the sort of thing that you adjust in and work with in when you're making a movie, when you're making an image in Photoshop, when you're doing creating a ride or some sort of attraction in Planet Coaster, is you're just making it so that the framing shows only what you want to show, and then the picture or like scene that you're creating is disparate parts shown exactly how you want how you want them to be seen. And that's very much what this map making program is like, right? So learning how to do it in a different medium can really help you produce these maps. It really does. It has helped me a lot. And working with this map program has also helped me with these other like framing, like how I take pictures of my miniatures and stuff like that.
And they have improved definitely dramatically. I was actually uploading the pictures from previous link dumps, and yeah, your pictures of your models have definitely gotten better. I was looking.
Hmm.
Some of them were pretty
Yeah, well,
cool.
I have old I have old pictures I took with my tablet, and then I eventually, you know, stopped being lazy and dragged out my camera, found its power cord and stuff like that. And my camera is it's an old camera, but it's still and when I take pictures, I use lighting and stuff like that. But yeah, framing is really important, and it makes my miniatures look way better than they do otherwise, right? They look fine when you're using them in real life, but I can make them look way cooler with a properly taken picture.
Also, like, we don't get to see them that close up, so it's nice to see the details.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're gonna grab something, especially if they're glued down or whatever, shove it up into our eyes and look that close. So
Yeah,
I
or you
like
just
that.
won't have the appropriate lighting to actually see it.
Yes, that's a big issue at my house now. Well, I'm lazy, and every time a light goes out, I haven't changed it. The spare room has been gone for months without lights because I just don't care.
Well, I was helping out in the suite today, and you guys are definitely going to be moving into the West Lit area in the entire house, for sure.
Yeah, Dad went a little overboard. I had to tell him to stop. He's like, I have more.
There's a bunch of different switches and dimmers. You'll be able to use however much and however little you want.
That's why I made him put the dimmers there, because there's so many lights, and he wanted to put more. I'm like, no, stop! It's not very big. I don't need any more light. I'm glad, though. He had a good time doing that, and it's definitely worth it. And besides, he can light up some lights in the spare room, because there's no light in there, and I'm going to need some, because I'm going to have some of my shit in there to work on, so... He can put some lights in there. Keep them for there. But I definitely want to tell everybody that I actually went and looked what the different apps are that our podcast is on, because I had to list them out for Tila. So we've got Google Podcast, we've got the Podbean app, and the Podbean, obviously, internet browser. And then there's the Amazon Music, which is also called Audible. We have Pandora, and then we have YouTube.
Okay.
So those are all the ones that we are going to have this available on. And working on my podcast actual section of my website. Tila says she's working on it. So hopefully that will be out soon too at newnovelties.com. Then Liam's solo quest, Creative Questions number 10 now, has all the pictures that we were talking about. And of course, you can always take a look at any of my weird creations at New Nerd Novelties on Facebook and or Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah, and for what I have of my miniatures, which is, I need to take more pictures of my miniatures. It takes a long time, though. That's the thing. It's like
it does.
Getting a scene set up, taking pictures, then transferring it over, and then putting everything away. Like, that's, even for a few pictures, it's like an hour-long process and more energy than I usually have, especially in a day that I'm working. That's why I haven't uploaded more pictures of my miniatures, because I've painted way more miniatures than I have pictures. I was thinking of like taking pictures of everything that I've painted this year, and I was like, ugh, it's more effort than it would be just to paint more miniatures.
Maybe you should just start doing a once a month picture thing, and then catch up. You know what I mean? Like
that might not be a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah, doing this once
if
a
I
month
schedule it. Yeah.
Yeah, for only like half a day or whatever, how many hours you want to do it, and then just be like, this is my time to do it, because I know you need specific deadlines.
I do, yeah. That's not a bad idea. I might schedule it. If I schedule it, I'll actually stick to it.
Yeah, and then you can catch up, and it won't feel like it's so much arduous work because you have so much backlog.
Fucking, much.
I have to do the same thing with my stock, because, yeah, I have hundreds of pieces of stock and 300 words for each item before I can even put it on the website. So I have 36 pages of writing so far. Yeah. Of those 36 pages, now every single one of those items I have to get ready for shipping to find out how much the shipping cost is. So I have to that's my next step. So I'm going to work on the blog and the podcast with Tila first, because those are easier. And then I'll get to that merge.
And I think I will try. I have one more. I've been so lazy. I have one miniature half painted for the last like 3 weeks. And it got half painted in like an hour. I probably can finish it in another hour, and I've just been like, ugh.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got a little overtime, but we were kind of doing a year in review, so very much appreciate everybody's time, and thank you for listening to us. I just want to say that, all of our social media, as we said just before, is on SoloQuest and
.ca,
Facebook, and Facebook and Podbean. And Podbean will show you all the other different places that we have it. I appreciate your time, Liam, and I hope everybody has a happy new year, or at least a new year that's as gentle as possible.
Right, and we'll be trying to get together at some point next week.
Yes, for sure.
No promises, though. I never promise anything. Fuck
no. Thank you so much for your time. This has been Creative Questions, the brother-sister duo of myself and
Liam Hewlett, and we'll see you again next time. Have a good night.
Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.